Welcome to this week's Piggyback Blog webinar. I hope everyone is able to see my screen. Today we are going to focus on community pages. These pages are very important when it comes to earning SEO that is specific to a target region that you want to make an impact on. As always, I am your webinar host, Tracy Adams, and I am the success coordinator here at Brandco. I'm a blogger. I call myself a client whisperer and an inbound marketer. Inbound marketing is whenever you're writing content that brings people to your website, as well as utilizing things like social media. Essentially, you're making the client come to you rather than you having to search for the client and constantly do referrals. So today we're talking about community pages. So I have a question though. First, do you attend the content planning webinar that I had earlier this year? I'm curious as far as how many people are even aware of these community pages that I'm going to be talking about today. In that webinar, I spoke of being more hyperlocal rather than general when it comes to writing your content for your website. And this is essentially one of the main things that helps you go in that direction. As far as, you're definitely still supposed to write blog content like about the things that are going on in your area and things like that. So that's one side of it, but this is the easy side, to just make that page and have it out of the way. I have 60% saying no and 40% saying yes. So you 60% are breaking my heart. I will send out, whenever I send out the email for this recorded webinar, I will also include the webinar that I'm discussing right now, the one about content planning. So this is the slide specifically from that webinar. Is talking about hyperlocal is really important. You need to specialize rather than be generalized. So let's say us here at Brandco, we're located in Orlando. So if I'm writing about Orlando, I'm going to make less of an impact when it comes to search engine optimization than if I talked about a neighborhood like Baldwin Park or Union Park or Avalon Park. It seems like there's a lot of parks. But it decreases the amount of competition that you have in the search engines, and there's a lot of ways where you can check to see how much competition there is, like how many search results come up for each type of search. And all of that was in that webinar. So tisk on you guys for not catching it. So these are things that I say to include when it comes to creating a page that is specific to a community. Because people want to know this information. Before I move somewhere and I have a family, I want to know what the crime rate is. I want to know how many kind of neighbors am I going to be able to get along with. Are they going to be like super old, or are they going to be like really young? Am I going to fit in? Things like that are what people want to know before they move to a specific area, and I'm sure you guys know that. So I compiled this little list of what readers want to know and see when they come to like a community page. So, like I said earlier, a demographic kind of information, stuff on age. I know that crime can be a little bit iffy as far as like what you are allowed to say and what not allowed to say, but if they can find it on the internet, I would say that it's probably okay for you to put it on your little portion of the internet. What's nearby? People want to know where the shopping is, as well as how far am I going to have to go to get to a grocery store? Am I going to be near attractions? That's really important here in Orlando. If people want to buy a second home here in Orlando, they're probably going to want to be near the attraction area. How close are hotels? How close are restaurants? What restaurants are nearby? Entertainment as well, like how far away is the closest not theme park, but theater. So little things like that, add that extra little bit, like, hey, this guy really knows this area, and if I have a question, he's probably going to be able to answer it, or she is going to be able to answer it. Always include photos. I know that people have a really good tendency to do just a photo of the sign for the community and things like that, and I know up in like New Jersey and stuff like that, they call them towns. I'm just using the term community as an overarching generalization right now, okay? Essentially, it's the smaller versions of your cities, whatever they're broken down into. Always include photos. Like, I want to see what the houses look like there. give me a link to Google Earth even. I can't tell you how often I used Google Earth whenever I was looking to buy a house. I wanted to see what the neighbors were going to look like what, not the neighbor people, but the neighbors' houses, so that I knew whether or not I was going to have the nicest house or the worst house in that neighborhood and things like that. Are obviously Google Earth is not updated constantly, but it gives you a great snapshot. Um, Talk about why they should live there. Be a little bit subjective, I guess is the best way to put it. Put yourself in their shoes. Content is what makes the big difference when it comes to the search engine optimization. I know we talk about it a lot, but content is king. It really is what's important on your website. Like, you can have listings for days, you can have as many contact forms as possible, but if your content isn't there and you don't have stuff written about the things you're wanting to be found about, people aren't going to find you, and you're not going to fulfill your purpose for your website. And then lastly, on a community page, I definitely recommend either having a link where you can let them click to go see any of the available properties in that community specifically. Or if you have the WolfNet WordPress plugin, then you're able to display them specifically on the page, so they're not having to leave to go anywhere else. So that's what I would like to see on a community page. If you've got more than that, awesome. Remember also to think about how long you're writing it. And there's another webinar that I did almost directly after the content planning one, saying how to make your blog post look great. And one of the examples I'm going to give you today really will show you that in use, because it will really help you visualize what I'm talking about whenever it comes to making your blog post look good, having all this information and all that kind of stuff all rolled into one. Okay. So let's talk real quick about the WolfNet WordPress plugin. So the WordPress plugin is something that's already installed in all of your piggyback blogs currently. It needs a product key in order to be activated, which means that you will need to reach out to WolfNet and get that product key from them by, purchasing it from them. So if you're interested in it after this webinar, I do recommend reaching out and getting that info. I will not give any kind of pricing information on this webinar because I don't know it, for one. And on top of that, WolfNet is their product. We just like it. So what this plugin does is it allows for you to be able to put in your listings into your pages and your posts inside of your blog. Now, when I say blog, sometimes some people are fully on piggyback blog now, which means that it's not really a blog, it's your website. So it's the pages and posts inside of your website. It's really easy to use. It looks just like your MLS options do on any of your regular search pages. So you're able to go in and build out searches based on anything you can think of that your MLS offers. So it's really important to know what your MLS does offer, so you're not going, oh, I'm going to make a page about waterfront properties, whenever that's not an option on your MLS. It's really hard for you to say which ones are waterfront if that's not an option for you to do your search by. On top of that, it allows for you to put the content together with your listings. So let's say you write a blog post about a great day at the park, and then you can say these are all the houses that are walking distance to this park if you would like to live near here, blah, blah, blah. And then last but not least, there's a lot of little extra things that this plugin gives you called quick search and featured listings that you can put into any page, as well as it'll give you an array of widgets in order to activate into your sidebar, which is your widget area. And the sidebar is that area that says like recent posts, recent comments, and it's all over to the right-hand side. So if you're interested in WolfNet's WordPress plugin after this, their phone number is 1-866-WolfNet, and they can give you the full information, okay? So after all of that, let's go ahead and just look at these community pages, and if you have questions about how to create them then we can walk through that together. My main thing here is that I want to show you examples, but you guys know at this point how to write a blog post and how to write a blog page. And if you've watched previous webinars, or you should be watching them, You know how to make a blog post look good. You know how to put in images. You know how to do all these things. It's just a matter of combining them into one and to make this useful resource for the people that are coming to your website. So the first one I'm going to start with is called bestnjtowns.com. This is Allison's website, and she focuses on two specific areas. I believe Maplewood and South Orange are the two specific communities or towns that she focuses on in New Jersey. So if you're looking through her Living in Maplewood, New Jersey page, she's got, a photo of it. She's got some information. It's got information on diversity, community passion, travel, home style varieties, favorite places, favorite restaurants, favorite events in those towns, favorite stores, and things like that. This is great. The only thing I would say that she could do differently is to add in some, properties or a link to find properties in that specific town. Other than that, I think this page is awesome. As you can see, it's broken up. There's lots of white space in between, and you've got, I know you see these areas that are more orange instead of the black text. Those are headers that she's been using so that she's able to show, hey, this is what I'm talking about in this area. So it makes it easier to read. There's photos that accompany it all the way through. This is a very well laid out community page. All it's missing is the opportunity for me to see the houses that are available there. Let's go on to another one. This is a very, very, very robust community page made by Charisma Marin. And she has split up all of her area. She's here in Orlando into specific areas. And then from the areas, she's split up the areas into subdivisions. So this is very, very well thought out and laid out. Like, she knows her area, and if I wanted to look for anything, I could find it on her website. So we're starting with Dr. Phillips. That is an area within Orlando. I can click to go specifically to see the homes that are available in all of Dr. Phillips. I get some photos for Dr. Phillips. Like, here's the, the stuff that's here, the community park, the baseball, the splash park, all that stuff's here. Locations, schools, activities, theme parks, restaurants, and homes. And then as you can see here, here are all the subdivisions that are available inside of Dr. Phillips. And each one of these, you can click on them and you'll go to a page specifically about that subdivision where she's laid out some information there, and she's got some search listings showing. Very well laid out. She's got tons of pages because of this. So let's just take a look at her page index. And we know how to do that by putting in site, colon, and then her domain name, .com. So far, she's got 12,000 results on her website. Charisma has only been working on this. She's been working on this site for less than a year now. So doing these community pages is a big plus, and then on top of that, having the WolfNet plugin helps add in an extra layer of that. Like, it's auto populating itself because it knows the code and what you're wanting to pull for your search, and automatically updating that on that page. So if we go to the next one, this is Jarrell's website. And he's been building out some community pages as well. I think you're actually in this webinar, aren't you, Jarrell? He's got he's got 6 of them built out so far. And we've got the WolfNet WordPress plugin running on this page as well. So you're able to see all the properties that are available inside of Princeton, New Jersey. So, and this is a shareable page that he's made shareable through some of the plugins that are available. And if I wanted to say, hey, I know a friend that needs to move to Princeton, I could share this page with them and they could be like, oh, look at all the properties that are available, things like that. On the last hand, this is not quite a community page, but it's a great use of the WolfNet WordPress plugin. Here is Kim and Lynn Logan's website, and they created a blog page back in 2015, around July, of course, talking about the fireworks at Lake Oconee. Now, you would say, how in the world do they use the WolfNet WordPress plugin for that? Well, here's how they did it. They're talking about all the different areas and times and dates that you could go to see fireworks. And then what they did is they knew a couple of the listings that they had views from their backyard of those fireworks. So they went ahead and added those to the listing, to the blog post. Genius. All you need is an MLS number or a community, or if your MLS can provide it to you in some kind of information, put it in there, especially if it works with the content like this one does. Okay, so these are my examples as far as community pages go, and I'm going to open the floor for questions. And I see I have one so far from Jim. And Jim asked if charismapropertygroup.com is a Brandco site. Yes, it is. It is a Brandco responsive refresh, and it is built completely on piggyback blocks. So that, Charisma's site is totally designed by us, and she has ran with the blogging, and I've been very proud of her. So do we have any more additional questions? I know that we've talked about community pages in the past, and there's a couple of different tutorials that are already available on our YouTube channel, but I just wanted to touch on it again and show that it's really important. And Charisma's website is one of the best examples of how to integrate, every single possibility that someone could be looking for, and to make that really accessible through search engine optimization. And Jarrell asks, are there any tricks to up the searchability on community pages? More content, and if you have a lot of communities within areas, do like what Charisma did. Divide them up into areas, and then on those area pages, add in all the subdivisions that could be inside of there. So, like, just just expand the thought process. Because, like, if I was a realtor, and let's say, like, I'm a realtor and I sell Orlando. Well, there's a lot to Orlando. Like Charisma did, I would have to separate it into, these are the different areas that I could talk about on my website. And then you go, well, all those areas have areas. So it's just, get the click-through rate a lot deeper. Now, if someone's on your website, they're going to go through all that click-through, but each one of those pages is findable through search engines. So the more information that you have in there, the better off you're going to be. So let me show Charisma's area page real quick again. So she talks about the area, all that content is here for the area, but then she also says these are all the different neighborhoods within it. And Angela had a question about, can you show us how to add the MLS plugin from the back end? Sure. Now, the one thing I would have to say is that you're not actually adding the plugin. The plugin's already there and it's active already. All you have to do is essentially make your purchase from WolfNet. WolfNet will send you a product key, and that product key, you just need to put it in and it'll start working. So let me get my piggyback blog open real quick, and I'll be able to show you eventually. Seems like everything's going to want to run slow on me today. Inside of the piggyback blog, you'll see that there's, if you click on that, you're going to need a product key. And the product key goes here. If it's there and it's active, then you're going to have a green check marks. If it's good to go, then you can access this area here called Search Manager. And I believe the search that I have in here may be like Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin and Minnesota. So if I want to pick from either of them, and we want to make a search from maybe Milwaukee, I can click to add it here. If I wanted to, let's see, we have school districts here. We don't have a community section. So maybe my search options would be a little bit less specific than being like, these are all the subdivisions and things like that. So if I click on school districts, I could build pages based off of that. specifically ones in like Wisconsin, and I could, figure out which ones that are nearby to where I work, or there's not really that many. You could really make a page for each one of these. So let's just say Altoona. There's 15 matches within the Altoona school district, and I want to do the single family, condo, townhouse, and duplex and multifamily. That's 5 matches in this area, and I could build a page around this. So let's go ahead and say Altoona School District homes, and then I'll save my search, and then we'll go and create a page, not a post. Click Add New, homes for sale in Altoona School District. Obviously, you're going to want to write about information, so demographics, home styles. Obviously, you're going to write inside here. I don't want to lead you on that you're just going to put titles in. So then, in order to put that search in place, you would grab the little key up here that's the little paw print. I'm going to put in a listing grid. I'll include the map above, and I'm going to grab my Altoona search and click Insert. So if I go ahead and click Publish, we can go take a look at this page. So view the page. And you can see the content, and I've got my map, and then my 5 listings for Altoona School District. I hope that helped you out, Angela. That's as easy as it is to utilize that plugin. It just really comes, the rest of it comes from knowing your subject. Darrell asked, do you have a moment when you can click one of our links so we can see how it's laid out? Now, that was also about Charismas, Avalon, Turtle Creek. So it's essentially laid out almost the same kind of way. She just, what information she has about each one. And honestly, she probably grabbed most of this info from like, Wikipedia, and then put it into her own words and things like that. But essentially, it's important just to make that information available for the clients. And Jim asked, how do I add a sidebar widget for WolfNet on my piggyback blog? About said Piggyback. Okay, so under Real Estate Blog, go to your dashboard. Under Appearance, you'll see a section called Widgets. And this is how you maintain your sidebar, and we'll go over that in full, I believe, the 30th of March. That's one of my last webinars that I have planned so far. So if you'll scroll down, you'll see that there's some that say specifically WolfNet in the beginning. You get a featured listings widget, listings grid, property list, and search, and the quick search. So you're able to just pop those in by clicking on them and then clicking Add Widget. Now, if you don't have these available or you don't have access to this page, it could also be because you don't have the WolfNet WordPress plugin. So you can change the name of it and say, Find Your Dream Home, and click Save. And let's go take a look at it on the page. See, there it is in action. Okay, do we have any more additional questions? Oh, no problem. You're welcome, Jim. If we have any other additional questions, I can answer them. However, you know that I'm always available whenever you have them. So I'll go ahead and start ending this webinar for today. You can reach me by email or by phone. My email address is tracy@brandco.com. And my phone number that I can be reached at is 407-999-0009, extension 115. But if you have specific questions or you want to walk through or anything like that, your best bet, and mine too, is that we schedule an appointment. And you can do so at calendly.com/beco_Tracy. Um, Also, I never mentioned this in the webinars, but if you're inside your piggyback blog, you know that little black circle with a question mark in the middle of it. If you click on that button, you're able to communicate with me directly. Now, it looks like a chat. That doesn't mean that we're always available there, though. We're not 24 hours. But it is something that I make a priority when it comes to replying to those messages. So if you have questions and you don't want to leave Piggyback Blog and go to your email and all that kind of stuff, you can send me a message directly from there. All right, so I appreciate everyone attending today's webinar. And I hope to see everyone again next week for site traffic. And we're going to be talking about analytics, Google Analytics, a little bit about Clicky, Clicky. We're going to talk a little bit about Jetpack. I know we've talked about it before, but actually we haven't. It's coming up the week following, but we'll talk about it a little bit. So I'll make sure that you have all the information you need as far as like how to gather that information and that traffic data from your website. Okay? Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.